So we're wrapping up the strategies course, and I just want to try to kind of help you see the big picture of it and kind of where I imagine you're heading next. So we started out with basically a pair of problems. One problem is that students don't really see the value in their learning, and they're not particularly motivated. And that, of course, causes a lot of big problems. And we looked at that kind of more in the planning course, but strategies do play into that. Certainly, when you use better, more engaging strategies, students are more likely to see the value and be motivated. But mostly we looked at this second problem, and that is that even if students are motivated and are trying, the learning doesn't necessarily stick. And we looked at the fact that about 90% of what we teach traditionally is lost within 30 days. Like, what was the point? So we started out this semester looking at that problem from the point of view of, like, what does make learning stick? What do we know about what has to happen? And we literally read a book called Make It Stick. And then we started, once we'd kind of, that was the foundation, right? Here are some just broad ideas about what makes learning stick. Now, what are some, those were broad, general. What are some specific ideas, some specific strategies that incorporate those key ideas to help make the learning stick? Because we know what we've been doing hasn't been working. So you looked at, first of all, a lot of different strategies that had to do with a specific part of the lesson. So how do you hook students? How do you help students discover new information? How do you review, formative assessment, feedback, all these very specific pieces of a lesson that need to happen. Kind of no matter what approach you're using, it would still have, these parts to it. So we looked at very specific strategies you could use, and you took the vast quantity of strategies set out before you and picked ones that you thought were going to be a good match for your students and your content and you. And you kept those in a document so they were all in one place. Then we looked at some strategies that aren't specific to a particular part of a lesson. So like you might differentiate at any part of a lesson, right? And in fact, you might give formative assessment and feedback at any point in a lesson. There are just certain things that where the strategies aren't specific to a certain point, and we looked at those. So once we've done all that and played around with, how to pull AI into this to get good ideas and so forth, now we've kind of come to this point where, okay, you have these lists. What do you do with them going forward? And so my hope is that going forward, whenever you are making lesson plans, that you have that document that you created for this course either pulled up in Google, or maybe there are parts of it that you want to just print out and put in a notebook so you have it physically next to you. But as you are creating lessons, you are looking at your choices. Like, all right, I know I need to hook students. A lot of times teachers forget that important piece. And if students don't have that piece, often they aren't engaged. I need that piece. What are my choices? So that's one way you could use it. But of course, another way would be to create kind of a cleaner document. There's a lot on your personal page, including a lot of things that you did with AI. If you cut and pasted just the strategies into its own Word document, then what you could do is anytime you're having AI work on lesson plan building with you, you can just upload that document as an attachment and say, as you're working on this lesson, please consider these particular strategies. What's so great about that? Well, if you use something like Magic School to create a lesson for you, it often creates a very just kind of generic lesson. Whereas if you uploaded that document, then all of a sudden it would be making lessons that were much more geared to exactly what you want and to strategies that you know are going to work well and that you have chosen. What if you also, when you are uploading documents to have AI help you lesson plan, what if you also uploaded information about the students in your course? Kind of the if you're in the planning class, kind of what you learned from the empathize stage and what you learned from your pre-assessment and survey. If you put that in too, then it's even more tailored to you and your students. So just keep thinking about when you go to ask AI to lesson plan, what could you upload and have it consider? What documents that you've created could you upload and have it consider so that it is much more beautifully tailored to what you want and not so generic? I think that's the point where you're really going to start seeing lessons that are exciting to you. Now, are the lessons that AI produces going to be perfect? They're absolutely not. I think it's going to save you maybe 50%, it'll take 50% less time, maybe 70% less time, but you definitely have to go through and you're going to sometimes tweak, like something's pretty good, but you're like, if you just did this a little bit differently, it'd be great. Or there might be things you want to just get rid of. You're like, that's just, don't need that. Goodbye. There might be things you realize you need to add, like, oh, I don't feel like it really did this one thing that I need this lesson to do, so I'm going to put that in. And of course, we all know that one of the things that the AI isn't so great at is like thinking about how long things will take in real life. So there might be things that have to be changed or deleted because they would just they take too much time. So you're going to need to do things like that. But I think what you're going to come out with on the other side is just much, much better lessons than you've had in the past. So the final project for this course is going to ask you to do exactly that. I'm going to ask you to have AI create the best lesson you can get it to, or the best series of lesson. I want it to be a series of 5 lessons that, go in order. I want you to do everything you can, like put like everything you learned about how to get AI to work in to create the best series of 5 lessons you can get it to create. But it is not going to be perfect. And so then what I need to see you do is modify it. So you'll use the comments function, or you could type in changes in a different font color or some combination of those. But I want you to then take that 5-day series of excellent detailed lessons and show me how you would use what you learned this semester. It's an important point. I want to see it. You learned what you use what you learned this semester to make it go from good to great. And it might take more than one try to get the AI to create something that you think is really a good start. But it also doesn't take very long to get AI to produce something for you. So don't skimp on that. Like if the first thing it created isn't really good, don't feel like that's what you have to work with. Just there's a button on a lot of them that literally just says like regenerate, or just say, I didn't like this that much because of X, Y, and Z, give me another. Or maybe you go into a different AI and give it a try. It does not take much time to have various AIs with various prompts generate various series of 5 days lesson plan. So don't skimp on that. That way you have a number to choose from and your starting point is really solid. And then you're going to work from there, as opposed to a starting point that's actually kind of crap and you're going to work from there. Don't do that. So keep in mind, here's the 2 big things. Big thing 1, prove to me that you can get AI to generate really good series of 5 lessons. And then 2, show me that you can take that good series of lessons and modify it to make it great. And if you can do those 2 things, then you can keep, if you can do it right now for this class, then you can do it all year long for every class. And soon you've got great lesson plans just flying all over the place. That's what I want. And I will see you later.